I talked, this was a month or two ago, with Jeff King, legal counsel for the WFCA, and was talking about the Labor Department and the way that they've been, I guess, changing the way they have interpreted what constitutes an independent contractor. Now, that's going to impinge on what you guys are doing if what he says is true, and I know the WFCA is still trying to work on that, so it's not a done deal.
You know, you're right. I mean, this is a huge issue right now. I mean, I think literally it's hand in hand with the installer crisis, because now, too, you're looking at, if we train a guy, who does he go to work for? You know, if you look at the installers out there, if they've got one or two guys and they're making a great living, they're definitely in need right now. The installer crisis is not their problem. It's the retailer's problem. But I see that's going to have to change too, because you're right. For years, this has been an issue, and the government keeps putting more and more emphasis on it. And you know, I've done a presentation actually at this last CCA show, and you could tell that was a big issue with those retailers. And I think that what I see is the industry is going to have to take a huge change, and I think retailers are either going to have to hire them as employees, or you're going to see large labor shops that actually can stay within the confines of that federal law to make it work.
So it'll be one or the other, although I have to say, in just my unscientific interviewing retailers, the ones who have...
pretty fast.
Yeah, well, the ones who have hired installers, or who pay a little bit more, but I'll say the primary ones who are hiring, they seem to have solved the installation problem for themselves anyway. Not the whole industry, but for their little part of the world.
You know, and it's funny, as I talk to retailers, I keep hearing this cost of turning it into employees. And I got to tell you, Dave, I owned labor shops and made really good money doing it. I don't see it the way they see it. I see it as another profit center, because if it couldn't be done that way, then why did I make so much money running labor? And all of my guys worked for me by the hour. They had benefits. They were in my company vans, and it was very profitable. So it can be done.
Fear of the unknown. I guess we've done it this way forever, but it seems like there's also penalties involved here if they go to retailer A and say, okay, this guy has really been an employee for X months, years, then I'm not sure how they determine what is owed, but there will be something owed, and I'm sure that's going to weigh heavy on many retail.
I've heard horror stories. I've heard of the numbers being in millions. I've heard the numbers literally being numbers that could have put them completely out of business. And I'm hearing more and more of those stories every day. But, yeah, I see it hand in hand with the installer issue, with the installer crisis.
Get back to the CFI.
Okay.
What sort of reaction have you gotten from this whole WFCA acquiring CFI? You had mentioned some, okay, we're not going to get run by retailers, are we? But other than that, what sort of feedback have you got?
I think all of it's been positive. I really have. I mean, there's depending on whether it's a retailer or a manufacturer that's approached me, they've all seen it as a positive move. And one thing, if we look back, WFCA has always been a strong part of CFI. They've always been a huge sponsor of ours. They've always been involved. Yeah, for years they've been involved. I think sitting down with Scott at one point, I guess he had kind of ran what they had actually done for CFI over the course of the last 20 years, and it was millions of dollars. So they've always been a big part of us, and I think now it's even better. I really do.
So it's CFI is really in a different gear. There will be a lot more production out of it, I guess is a good word to use.
CFI, even though we're 23 years old, we're really in an infant stage. I mean, with the changes in the industry and the changes that we're looking at making and the things that we're looking at doing, and kind of, we'll still do those 2-day, 3-day certifications. That's always been our, just our meat. But our focus really now is more on 2-week apprenticeship courses, 5-week installer courses, 1-week hard surface courses, something that can really take a guy and really do something with him. Obviously, it takes a guy out of a field a little bit longer, but we need to train guys. We've done training and certification, but I guess what I could say is our focus is really going to focus more on the training aspect as much as the certification.
Now, as I recall, and I may be wrong, there was a lot of volunteer expertise that the CFI took advantage of, which I think was a handicap in a way. Is that changing?
Well, that changed a long time ago. You know, the volunteer part, yes, probably the first 15 years, 14, 15 years. Guys like myself, thousands and thousands of hours we donated simply because we believed in what we were doing. We loved what we were doing. We wanted to give something back. So, you know, that leaving on Friday, training Saturday, flying home Sunday, and going back to work on Monday for nothing. But now for the last 5-8 years, we've been paying those trainers for their efforts.
So that's really the only workable model, it seems to me.
Yes. Because now, too, you know, back then it was weekends. You know, a guy could give up a weekend. Now we've got trainers that have been with us, of course, for many, many years. We've got a huge corral of some of the best trainers in the business. And now they're giving up their time during the week. I mean, we've got guys that do nothing but training for us now. And that's how they make their living.
I guess that's another thing, is just developing the trainers is another thing that's going to occupy your time. I can see that.
It is. You know, my focus is, of course, trying to get the industry involved in what we're doing and opening up the schools that we so desperately need. And then the trainers, I mean, we've got the trainers, we've got the curriculum, we've had that in place for years. You know, even here at this show and in the last year, we've had manufacturers that have come to us that they have a particular product. I had even one come to me here at this show, and it's unique in the way it installs. So for us to take a unique product, and we do a Train the Trainer program where we bring that manufacturer in. And I mean, when you're bringing a new product in, but you're showing it to guys that are the best of the best, it's just, well, you do this way instead of that way and that way, you know. So we'll be adding actually 2 or 3 of those programs over the next year as well.
Now, you personally, although you were the CEO at CFI, it's certainly been to a whole new level here. How are you personally reacting to that?
Excited. You know, I've always for many years in this industry, I've wore several hats. And I'm kind of really wanting to focus on this one. I mean, it's something that I have such a passion for that I'm just excited as heck. And there's so much that we want to do. You know, we've got a phenomenal group in the office, you know, Jill and John, and I believe we're going to get Whitney back at the first of the year. I think you know a lot of that staff. Just, it's a great group of people. So, you know, being able to work with them as my job, you know, because as executive director, it was still volunteer for me. And I did it because, again, I have a love and a passion for the organization. And I was fortunate and blessed to have visibility in this industry, so I did everything I could for them. But now to be able to focus on really the growth and the projects and everything we're going to do, it's exciting. It really is.
Good luck to you, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Robert, always great talking with you.
Yes, sir. Always, Dave.
We've been talking with Robert Varden. We are at the CFI stand here at TISE East, and this is Talk Floor TV.